Georgia remains the number one team in the country in the AP poll. Coaches poll too, but we talk about AP. We had to pick a long time ago. We picked one AP poll. So Georgia and a few other SEC teams still ranked after the conference has certainly taken a beating here lately. But Georgia at one, then it goes to Michigan as the two. Michigan got a couple first place votes. Florida State pulling up at number three. They also have three first place votes. And then Texas at number four, USC at five. Texas got two first place votes as well. A very good win from Texas, a very good win from Florida State to start the season. So SC at five, Ohio State at six. Ohio State's gone from number four to number six in a matter of a week. I guess people are not impressed with the way they played, or maybe they're more impressed with the way that USC is just flying up and down the field. Obviously, the win for Texas moved them up 6 places, so that was a big win for Texas. And then Penn State at seven. We got a good look at them this weekend on Fox at noon, and then UW at eight, Notre Dame at nine, and Alabama at 10. Tennessee at 11. Alabama falling 7 spots in both polls, actually. So we'll just see how this keeps going. I think this is about right. I don't think that Georgia's no one's watching Georgia right now. They're seeing highlights. They're seeing the results. I do wonder a little bit if people are watching some of these other teams. I mean, Clemson fell out of the AP poll. They shouldn't have been in it this last time anyway, but they fell out this past week after an underwhelming performance against Charleston Southern. Oklahoma fell 2 spots after sort of looking very pedestrian against Southern Methodist. Miami rose. I guess they had to. Texas A&M actually got a vote this week, which I'm not sure why. They continue to fail consistently. It's time to just admit that Jimbo is not working and move on. You don't have to pay him the full $70 million. But if all we hear about is the money at Texas A&M and the money at Texas, I guess. So cut the guy a check and move on. If it's that important to you, then do it. If it's not that important to you, then people don't want to hear about how it's important to you. You made a bad contract. It happens. But you don't. He doesn't have to be the head coach next year. He's not getting it done. I mean, y'all know it just like everybody else does. So write the check and get a structure, a payment plan, whatever. I mean, he's not done much as a head coach for a while. I mean, the 2020 season was certainly one thing, but they just need to go chill out somewhere else. Auburn's getting votes. I mean, I guess people aren't watching them play. That's the coaches have them getting votes. Nobody in the media is giving Auburn votes. They shouldn't. If you watched Auburn this last night against Cal, woo, not good. So it's just one of those things, y'all, where we watch the games and we're prepared to tell you what's going on. I don't know what happens with some of these folks, but it does look like some people are maybe paying attention a little bit watching some of these games. And we'll just see how it goes. Our friends at DoorDash are back for a limited time. You get $50% off 50% off your next order of $15 or more when you sign up for the Dash Pass student plan. Enter the code DogPostBTC. DogPostBTC. That's 50% off your next up to $10 on your next order of $15 or more when you sign up for the DoorDash student plan. And you enter the code DogPostBTC. Okay, back to college, BTC. Don't forget the code is DogPostBTC, back to college, for 50% off when you sign up for the the Dash Pass student plan, subject to change and terms apply. Take advantage of that, y'all. I mean, they've got so much stuff in Athens that you can get. But I think, as we head into this South Carolina game where the Dogs are nearly a 4-touchdown favorite over South Carolina, depending on where you get the line, there's not going to be a lot that changes this week. This week, there's not tons of great games that are out there. Colorado State is the late game. Florida and Tennessee. I don't think anybody's super hyped up about that. Alabama plays at South Florida. There's not a lot of ideal games. You have Georgia, South Carolina. It's not great out there right now. So let's just see how this progresses. However, If Georgia wanted to impress anyone, Georgia's got 64 first place votes in the coaches poll. Michigan has got the only other vote uh, as the number one in the coaches poll. But again, we kind of have to decide at some point what we're going to do, and we stick with the AP poll just because it's just easier. It's the older poll, but you know, there's not a lot of discrepancy between the polls except at the bottom. And Clemson is ranked in the coaches poll. Washington State is ranked in the media poll. Both Duke and both Duke and North Carolina are ranked in both polls. UCLA and Iowa are both ranked in both polls. But it's Washington State and Clemson that are sort of, and oddly they are not at 25. They are either at 23 or 22 in the polls, but the polls mirror each other. Generally speaking, with the teams, who is ranked where? No. So Texas is 4 in the AP poll and 6 in the coaches. There's SC and Ohio State are still ranked above UT in the coaches poll. But Georgia will have the capability this week to really show the country what they've got. You're talking about a team here that has not played on national television, well, broadcast national television. SEC Network is obviously national television, but it's not. It's not for the whole world. I mean, probably 3 to 4 million people will watch this game. I don't know how many people watch Texas Alabama. My suspicion is it'll be close to 10 million or more, just because there's a huge brand names, and Alabama. Whenever there's this notion that they will be defeated, which there was a notion of that this time. I mean, Las Vegas is trying to tell y'all something. When Alabama is a 7-point dog or a 7-point favorite or fewer at home, they've lost those games in the past, and they've not had a lot of games like that in the past. So Georgia in 2020 and 07, LSU in 19. These are all games that Alabama either lost or were really competitive games. So that Texas came in there. I think it depends on who you're talking to as to who to sort of get credit for that. Texas just straight up outplayed them, beat them. They were the better team. So a lot of this is the armor that's surrounding Alabama definitely has a lot of dents in it now. And this audience is a Georgia audience. Eco Poly, the chair I'm sitting in, that's a Georgia-based company. We are essentially, we cover Georgia. We cover League Two, and it's hard to talk about Georgia and the league and when you're looking at the landscape of things, talk about Alabama. But we basically are about Georgia and covering them. But I don't, you can't ignore what happened the other night, Saturday night, last night. That matters. It matters for Georgia. I mean, it will complicate things if Alabama gets to the SEC championship and they're 11-1 and Georgia is undefeated. The winner of that game will go to the playoff for sure, but the loser might not. I mean, we don't know what's happening in the landscape of college football, but it does really look like, right now that Alabama has clearly Clemson has taken a giant step backwards. It looks to me like Alabama has too. The giant step might be the wrong description, but whatever you want to call it, it's there. And this is a situation now where whether they're ranked in the top 10 or not or whatever, Alabama's not what they've been. And the question, when did that start? It probably started when Kirby left, but it certainly started when Keely Ringo had his dog destruction moment. I mean, when he ran down the sideline in Indianapolis, and this moment happened, and then this moment happened soon thereafter, Alabama's not been the same since. They've not played for a national championship. They've, it's been rough out there. It's been rough out there. I mean, AD Mitchell killed them the other night. He just really beat them up completely. And I bet if Alabama never sees AD Mitchell again, they'll be good with that because he's cost them, at least a shot at a national championship, if not, really hurting them in that game. He scored the touchdown to put Georgia up for good. I mean, it was 18-17 from that point on, or 17, 1918. I don't know. I can't remember. Such a blur since then, but Alabama's not been the same. That whole season, they were not the same. So we're just going to see. I mean, but the league has definitely taken some shots here lately. I mean, Florida's not going to beat Florida State in November, I don't think. And, Georgia Tech and Georgia, Clemson, South Carolina, I have no clue what's going to happen there. But like in these pre-league games, probably the SEC's best wins are either over ranked Tulane from Ole Miss or Auburn's win over Cal, which was gross. And, Alabama losing to Texas, LSU, getting thumped by Florida State a week ago. There was another not great SEC. Oh, Utah and Florida. I mean, you got a lot of they're not great teams, the Gators, but you've got brand name Florida, brand name Alabama, brand name LSU, brand name it's just been not a great run for the league, and we'll just see how that goes. Playing in this league is definitely the real deal. I think it's still tougher than the Pac-12, but the Pac-12 right now, it's hard to argue they're not the hottest conference in the country right now, and the rankings reflect that. There's 8 teams in the AP poll that are Pac-12 schools. UCLA, Wazoo. I don't want to excuse me. UCLA, Wazoo. I'm just going off the top of my head. Colorado, Oregon State, Oregon, Utah, and then UW and SC. I mean, that's a lot of firepower. Those teams are all undefeated. The only 2 teams in the top 25 with losses are LSU and Alabama. Those teams are. I mean, I don't know who LSU plays this week. They play State this week. I don't think LSU will lose to State, but I mean, Alabama's not losing to South Florida, so they'll be ranked next week. But it's the beginning of this season has been a little rockier than some of the recent past. I mean, Georgia their destruction of Oregon a year ago. What Alabama did to whoever, Miami or whoever it was. There's been a lot of precedent setting by the SEC at the beginning of these seasons that isn't there anymore right now. Now the Big Ten's not played a lot of out of conference games that I know of, but if Notre Dame comes to the horseshoe, if Ohio State goes to Notre Dame and doesn't get it done, you can start drawing some questions about the Big Ten as well.